What is up, YouTube land? We're doing some more Resident Evil.
Yeah, this will probably be my last game to, I don't know. I'm obsessed with Resident Evil right now, but this will probably be my last LP game for a while.
So I'm a bit worried. Resident Evil Village, when you take the VIL in Village, it like turns into like 8 and whatever. But Resident Evil 2 doesn't turn into anything.
Oh man, it's just like a 2. Like, what does that mean?
That's stupid.
So we're going to be doing a hardcore... I ended up deciding that we're going to do a Leon A and Claire B run. Not all at once. We'll probably take a break in between each scenario, but we're going to be doing it on hardcore difficulty, trying to get an S+ rank. Just to kind of show you about the ranking system for this game. So to get S rank on first scenario, you have to get under 2.5 hours, and to get S+, there's 2 other conditions: less than 3 saves the entire game, and no infinite ammo weapons at all, other than the infinite knife, but I'm not going to be using that. But first scenario is not too hard. Under 2.5 hours is really lenient, but when we get to the B scenario, under 2 hours, that's pretty rough. So I guess let's just get started.
So, do you like 2 or Biohazard better?
I think this is overall a better designed game in terms of everything being thought out better. There's some things in this game that prevent me from absolutely loving it, but in general, I probably prefer 7 out of just pure bias. But this game is definitely the better game if you like analyze it, like game design wise.
Does he say, "Guy's a maniac, why'd he bite me"?
No. Most of the soul is sucked out, and especially since we're doing the Leon scenario, Leon has absolutely 0 charm, and Ada's even more obnoxious than normal.
I will say, the beginning of Resident Evil 2 is probably my most watched single cutscene. I don't know why, but I started Resident Evil 2 so much as an adolescent and teen. I mean, literally, like...
I mean, I remember Spencer playing that game so much. Even I played it a bit, but it was mostly Spencer.
I can definitely remember that entire scene up until the start by...
Like, our childhood was really RE2... Well, all 3 of the RE games, but a lot of RE2, Clock Tower 1, and Final Fantasy 7. That was our childhood right there.
PS1 was cool. Although, I like PS4 as well, don't worry, folks. I need some yum.
Rip.
Whoa, mature.
Oh yeah, this game is not shy of using... Oh, yeah.
Do you have the remote?
Yes.
You guys are maniac. Why'd he bite me? Whoa! Sorry about that, babe. Kendo? I do like how they gave Kendo like any sort of story, but I like imagining him just a guy with suspenders that calls Claire babe, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing you need to know.
It's like Kendo's so serious now, he even shows up in RE3 Remake, and it's just like, okay. Ultimately a character that doesn't matter. It really reminds me of, Final Fantasy 7 Remake? They went so in-depth for the NPCs that don't matter at all. And there's like so much side content and like cutscenes with them.
The one I specifically remember is all the kids that are like in that like, I don't know, was it Sector 5 slums? You know when you go back and you do like missions for them and stuff? There's like a lot with those kids, and I'm like, holy
and you have
crap.
like new OCs, like the bouncer white-haired kid at the Dons. And you're just like, I don't care.
Oh, yeah, they make that kid pretty specific, yeah.
He's, like, actually integral.
I very much enjoyed FF7 Remake,
Yeah.
and I can't wait for 2.
I think it's flawed, but I think it's fun. Some people are, like, really mad at it because of the plot changes, but I just view it as a separate thing altogether.
This is my impression of those people.
Yeah.
That's
I would
it.
say the only thing that I was, like, outright disappointed about for FF7 Remake was they didn't, like, add any significant, like, extra sectors to explore. Like, you have that one sector where you just do the motorcycle, like,
Oh yeah, I do agree with that.
Against that soldier guy that they just invented. But other than that, it's just like the same sectors, but they just pad it out.
The only problem I had in it looking back is spoilers. They just had to freaking have it end the first part with friggin' Sephiroth.
Yeah.
They couldn't help themselves.
I mean, you have to. Even though it's just Midgar and they could have saved it for, like, brief cameos in the Shinra HQ, they had to do, like...
I would have accepted Genova, but not friggin' Sephiroth.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they had to establish themselves.
Do you? Dead. My question is, who... Oh, never mind. I was going to say, who is training the Raccoon Police Force? And I'm like, right, Chief Irons. Got it.
Alright, so in hardcore, especially A scenario with the standard guns, your bullets do very little damage. Alright, so in general, you want to go for the legs, especially if you get the legs to, you can just blow them away.
Oh, you want to go for the legs?
Yeah. Well, this is completely scripted. Unfortunately, this TV... I guess I'll turn up the brightness. This TV has really weird gamma. This game is probably the closest that RE has ever gotten to, like, true horror in terms of, like, atmosphere and lighting. But it does make the game very dark sometimes.
Alright?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks.
Thank me later. We're safe.
Claire's a waifu in this one. I think Jill's a waifu in RE3, if I remember.
Yeah, Claire's pretty alright in this game. And Leon, as much as I was a little complaining about him, his characterization, he definitely seems more like a naive rookie cop in this game. Where in RE2 Classic, he really just seems like he's just a frustrated guy trying to do his job. Which does not seem like a rookie at all. But, like, there's some times when it's like, Leon's like, oh, I gotta talk to Chief Irons if I can let you out of prison, right? We'll get to that. And it's just like, what are you thinking right now? Like, everyone's dead. You don't even know if Chief's alive.
Hopefully they'll have some answers at the police station.
Wait, you're a cop?
Yeah. Leon Kennedy. You are?
Leon S. Kennedy.
You're Redfield.
Redfield?
Live around here?
By the way, do you ever consider how weird it is that Leon and Claire barely interact in any game or media after RE2?
Aren't, isn't there, like, Resident Evil,
There's, like, a new CG-so that...
Degeneration or something?
Yeah, I don't know about the movies. You got me there. I don't even know if they're canon. I know that they just made a new CG Netflix series where Leon and Claire, like, talk, but they have, like, a falling out. It's really weird.
Well, the one thing I will say is, in my headcanon, my romance novels between Claire and Leon are canon, so...
Yeah. I mean, obviously Leon is all about Ada, and Claire is all about nothing.
Claire's about Chris.
Claire...
That's actually part of my my romance novel, too. Claire and Chris, you know, they find out that they're not... What they call each other brother and sister, but they're not actually related.
Stop. But, like, when you play Resident Evil Revelations 2 and you have, like, a 40-year-old Claire running around with Barry Burton's, like, 18-year-old daughter, and, like, Claire's just, like, the same character she's always been at 40, you're like, okay.
Attention all citizens.
Would she be that old? I know Chris would be, like, that old.
I don't know. Probably at least in her, like, mid-30s.
Yeah.
You can fact-check me. Look up Revelations 2 wiki.
Well, I know that... No, it's just funny. It's like...
She is 19 in this game, so she's pretty young.
A lot of the, a lot of the games, like, take place, like, pretty close to each other in timeline, you know? Even though in real life it takes forever to make games,
Yeah.
they're just like, yep, here you go.
But no, Revelations 2 definitely takes place at least, like, 15 years in the future, because Revolutions 1 is about Terra Grigia, and that's like a 5 or 6 year time skip. And then Revelations 2 is a 7-year time skip after Terra Grigia. So that's at least a decade right there, just those 2 games.
Can I just say one thing? Less than sign Resident Evil, less than sign story.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the first one, you're like, nice story you have. Oh crap. Not to anything in particular.
Truck driver.
Cool. There's the cutscene is tough. Truck driver, no! Are you just gonna like use the knife constantly?
The knife is very, very good in this game.
I remember watching speedruns for this game,
Yeah.
and
So, I guess I'll explain this now because there's not much to talk about. The knife in Resident Evil 2 Remake is one of the best knives in the entire series. And the reason why is that it does damage every frame that it's inside an enemy hitbox. So if you're playing on PC where it's capped at 120 FPS, you do a ridiculous amount of damage with the knife.
Claire, you okay?
And even, I'm playing on the PS4 Pro, which is 60 FPS, and I'm still going to be using the knife a lot, even for bosses, because it just...
also, if I remember correctly, your character physically slashes pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like almost unreasonably fast.
Yeah, and even Leon, I think Leon has like the worst
This is out of control.
knife swing compared to Claire, but it's still very good.
We haven't heard a single thing about Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Yeah, it's definitely far away off, according to those internal Capcom leaks.
Which are like almost always right.
Yeah. Although it's nice that Capcom did reveal that they're working on Village DLC, like publicly.
Oh, did they? Oh, awesome.
But it seems like it's going to be a far away because they were like, it's in development due to high demand, but they didn't show anything about it. So it's like, it was probably just on like a drawing board. Oh, nice. Surprised it got past it. Alright, so talk about differences with hardcore. The biggest differences is your damage is mitigated a lot. So your handgun and basically everything does half damage, maybe be a little bit more, but especially since A scenario just uses the standard handgun with the standard rounds, your handgun does very little damage. And the way that damage works in this game is when you're shooting a zombie, it will take the same amount of damage regardless of where you shoot it, so headshots don't do any more damage. But headshots also have a chance of decapping zombies, so you always want to go for it if you can. So I'm doing a little bit of house cleaning before we go the place we actually have to go. That was the muzzle suppressor something. It just reduces recoil a little bit. It's a little far out of the way, but it's worth getting because we're not going to be using the handgun that much. Getting one of the medallions while I can. Since I missed some shots with the zombie, I'm actually going to go over here and grab the handgun bullets on the last sofa on the right. Again, you don't have to get this, but since I'm so low, I just want to get it. So
Where's our boy?
Yeah, he's coming soon. A scenario is pretty scripted and linear. I definitely like B scenario a lot more in terms of just giving you more options to do stuff. But after the first visit of the RPD, both scenarios are very similar. But especially this first section is very cutscene heavy.
I'm Leon. I have a cleft chin.
But kind of the reason I wanted to do an A scenario run is that B scenario like skips over a lot of stuff.
And that's fine because, you know, it obviously
Yeah.
assumes you already played the game.
But I was planning to just do Claire B, but like when I watched the cutscenes, I was like, oh boy, like the beginning cutscene's just like a slideshow of like Claire. You don't even see Claire going through the city herself. It's just like a slideshow, and then she's in the front yard. Oh, by the way, I know we take a lot of things for granted, but look at Leon's jacket wrinkles. It's like they're animated with like actual physics. It looks amazing, and it's like how much work was put into this jacket that Leon has on for 5 minutes.
It took a team of people a whole week. I mean, considering games nowadays are just literal time sinks in terms of development.
Yeah, game development nowadays, just because mug graphics, it takes so long.
That's why I don't... my favorite character, no!
Oh, I forgot to watch the cutscene. You can see this guy in the security camera in the laptop in the front entryway, but I forgot to look at it.
You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, he's fine.
If it was an action movie, it'd be like, how does it look? You look great. Oh.
Alright, so that's the notebook. So we don't have to worry about the zombies over here, but a zombie does come over here. Now, this zombie we have to kind of manipulate, because we want him to fall down in this room. Okay, perfect. Because if he wanders outside this room, he is going to be a huge problem later. 2 zombies are going to be coming up to the right over here. We can actually dodge them if we hold right against the wall.
Can zombies open doors?
Some doors. Not all of them. They have a very specific patrolling area.
Oh, what we were saying before, because of how long... yeah, my boy! Because of how long games take to make, I really have no problem when a team, like, reuses, like, an engine. Like, when they use the RE2 engine for RE3. It's like, please.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to make a new friggin' engine for every game. And I think, what, Village uses the same as 7 or something?
Yeah, Capcom made the RE engine in-house in 2017, 2016, and it's pretty been their de facto engine for most RE games. I think they've been using it for some other stuff too, but I'm not exactly sure.
That's fine with me. Because I'd rather have more games than, like, oh, unique engine for everything.
Anyone else start this?
What Unreal Engine are we on?
4.
4?
Yeah.
I remember 3 was, like, Unreal Engine 3 was used for, like, God, 10, 12 years. Like, some crazy... just every game you saw was Unreal Engine 3.
Yeah, and I guess Unreal Engine's still the most popular one nowadays, but I don't know.
I don't really pay attention to it anymore. I just know in the 360 era, like, literally everything was Unreal Engine 3.
I mean, graphics are just so good. I mean, I guess it just comes from, like, 2 people that played PS1 games all the time as kids, but, like, I don't care about graphics anymore. Like, people that are, like, 4K... I like frame rate. Frame rate's definitely a thing.
Yeah, frame
for me.
rate's the thing.
But, like, when people look at textures and, like, resolutions and, like, modeling, it's just, like, it just has to be good enough.
I'm very easy. I'm, like, a very cheap date when it comes to that.
Yeah. And
I played, like, Blair Witch on PC and was like, oh my god, this
Yeah.
looks so good. And you know that there's tons of people that are like, this looks awful, you know?
And, like, this game came out 2.5 years ago, and, like, I think this game goes above and beyond what it had to.
Speaking of graphics, my favorite transition of graphics, this is true, in 2020, right when everything was closed up and everything, I played Final Fantasy VII, where everyone in that game, even the characters who are supposed to be ugly, are, like, beautiful. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, every single character is just very good looking. Like,
Yeah, it's definitely the Nomura
yeah.
art direction.
And it's just like, yeah, okay, Tifa and Eris are, like, supposed to be good looking, but, like, everyone's just good looking. And then the very next game I played after that was Last of Us Part 2, where every character is personally as ugly as they could possibly
and
be.
it's obviously intentional because otherwise, like Last of Us 2 is an absolutely beautiful game, so it's just a stylistic choice.
Yeah, and I get it, and it's like, but there's a difference between someone who's like weathered and like haggard, but they make them just like ugly. And it was so fun. Like that first day when I was playing Last of Us 2, I was like, this is a culture shock. Because I was like, wow, what a difference.
You're going from like art direction by Tetsuya Nomura to modern Naughty Dog. It's like completely opposite companies.
Could not be more opposite. I think the only thing that would be more opposite is like playing like Hyperdimension Neptunia and then going to like Last of Us Part 2. But in terms of like realistic games that people would actually play, because I still don't think anyone actually plays games like Hyperdimension. And I also don't think anyone ever plays the Artillery Ramoa games or whatever. Like, whenever I see games like that, I'm like, I think people just buy these to buy them, and they don't actually play them.
I mean, even I don't play games like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I like anime games, so I get this. Play it for 1 second. Okay. How many headshots does it take to, generally?
So this is actually one of the zombies with the least amount of HP in the game, and it takes 6 shots to kill him. And that is the least amount HP of, like, zombie... Okay, good. Whew, I almost forgot my route. You don't want to go into either of those rooms, because the zombie lane there will wake up. And we don't want that for now.
Hey, you know what they just did? They subverted our expectations. The fat zombie had the least health.
Yeah?
Every single game of all time, fat person has more health. Even something like House of the Dead, like a game that has no reality whatsoever. It's like the more weight you have, the more fat you have, the more health you have. Let me tell you something. The more weight I put on, I don't feel healthier. That's just me.
Gotta love missing 3 shots from point blank.
Yo, this zombie's a babe.
Nice decap at the point where it probably doesn't matter at all. Alright, so we want to go up to the 3rd floor and pick up the spade key, and then we're going to go back down to the 1st floor and go through the west office. We're doing that specifically because that zombie on the floor, we don't want to wake him up too early. So a lot of these lockers have pretty good items. You figure out most of the combinations from like finding like rolls of like photos and other stuff, but obviously once you know what it is, you don't need to do that ever
Where's
again.
that side pack?
Yeah, so I guess talking about side packs, on hardcore difficulty there's only 3 side packs, while standard difficulty has 6 side packs, and each side pack gives 2 additional inventory spots. And because the ones that they picked in this game, we're only going to be getting 1 in the entire A scenario. In B scenario, we only get 2.
Okay.
And in fact, we're getting... There's 1 side pack in here, and this is the only one we're getting the entire run.
That's funny. That's really good timing.
The other 2 side packs are the one in the armory, like locker room, like right across from the hallway over there. But you need both of the dial pad things, which is way more complicated than that sounds. It wastes so much time. And the other one is literally in the lab, and at that point you just... Claire needs it, Leon doesn't need it, that's the only reason why.
By the way, I also put my fanny pack behind a safe. Like, I literally lock up my my fanny pack. I do that every day when I get home. I'm like, oh, my side pack? Oh, yeah. Checking my email.
You are. Come here. Take a look.
Yes. I knew she'd make it.
You know
I love her.
Yeah. Name's Claire. I came into town with her.
You can get to that courtyard. On the 2nd floor.
Do you know what game I actually want to see a remake of? Like, I don't...
Thanks.
I mean, I'll take a Resident Evil 4 remake, but whatever. I want to see a remake of Resident Evil Outbreak. Because I have a feeling that those games are like very good, but I've never even given them a chance because of kind of how it's like all set up.
Yeah, so I actually was playing Resident Evil Outbreak like just like a month or two ago, and it is a pretty good game. The crippling weakness to it actually is loading times. Every time you go through a door, there is a 15 to 20 second load time.
Gosh.
And it's not like classic Resident Evil where there's a load screen every single door, but I would say like every other door is a load screen. And like I played it for like 30 minutes and I got to the next section and I was like I cannot handle this. And like I looked up a run, like a speed run, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm doing this in emulator. It doesn't affect game time, but because there's less load on an emulator with an SSD, it's like, yeah, I'm playing it on this." I'm like, "Okay, that makes perfect sense."
Yeah. I remember that game is like all it's all real time, right?
Yes. Yeah, inventory is real time. Everything is, other than loading screens.
I had a tough time with that when I was playing. The very little I did. The mid-2000s was a weird time for Capcom. They were just like, hey, remember Resident Evil? Here's Outbreak. Here's Dead Aim. Here's, I think Survivor was technically 2000, 2001.
Even modern Capcom makes a lot of like weird titles like Resident Evil Reverse.
Here's Gaiden.
And they made that multiplayer like
How you doing?
Outbreak game. I forget what it's called already. And like no one cared about it.
Umbrella Corps.
Right, yeah, that one.
And in the mid-2000s, they made probably the most underrated Resident Evil game, Deadly Silence. The fact that Resident Evil 1 is on the DS and it plays really well is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
I really wish they made like a Deadly Silence 2, like just did all of them for the PS1 trilogy, but probably doing that port for the DS is probably way harder than RE1.
Yeah.
There's so many FMVs to compress.
another thing to remember, games that were made, Resident Evil Mercenaries for 3DS. I have a feeling that is probably expensive now, or somewhat expensive.
So remember the scene for Claire B, because it is the most unfair situation they put you in.
Marvin? Oh, and Resident Evil Revelations literally started as a 3DS game.
Yeah, I mean, after post-6 RE, the series was, I don't know, it was just doing really small budget titles just to make a profit. But I think they were just like, Capcom was like, we do not want to do another $100 million disaster like RE6. And they haven't.
Oh, Alex Swingle just popped into the chat. I love Resident Evil 6. Okay, Alex, we get it. No, seriously. Alex wrote a 50-page dissertation on why Resident Evil 6 subverts our expectations. It's so bad that it's good. I remember that's what he said.
If you don't mind, God, almost forgot. Can you turn up the volume? I really need audio cues.
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's fine. Sorry if it's a little louder, but like I really need to go. There's like an invisible wall until it goes up. Luckily, the zombies actually don't follow you into here, which is nice. So I want to get rid of. Actually, that's fine. What? Yeah.
I remember the end of Resident Evil 3. You have so much space that I was just carrying around a small arsenal. Like, it was just like, I have all my weapons I want and all my ammo.
Alright, so West Wing is zombie infested now. As long as you're quick, we only have to stun 2 zombies, but because the gun in A scenario sucks, alright, we just want to get the stun. The stun... Okay, good. It's deceiving, but the stun actually gives you like a few seconds to like dodge a zombie, so... Because we just do not have enough ammo to like kill everything at all, especially on hardcore, you just want to go for stuns, unless you want to kill a zombie that's in like a problematic area you're going to be going through a lot. Alright, so going to the locker room, we're going to get the shotgun. And the shotgun is going to be our main weapon for basically every normal enemy in the game. Because the shotgun is extremely good, but it's not good against bosses. So I guess my word of advice if you're doing a hardcore run of RE2 is use the shotgun for regular enemies, never against any boss.
What do you use against the boss then?
We'll get to that, but
Okay.
Leon has quite a versatile weapon selection. His weapon selection is much, much better than Claire's. Just like RE2 Classic.
Just like, yeah. What did Claire get in Resident Evil 2? Friggin' a crossbow that...
But like...
Did she have a... Yeah, she had a crossbow.
Yeah. But RE2 remakes, like, even the flamethrower in this game is amazing, where it's, like, completely useless in Classic.
I don't even remember using it in
Yeah,
Classic.
the chemical flamethrower in this game is incredible.
Question of the part, what's your favorite weapon from any game, for any reason? Let us know below. The super shotgun from Doom 2 is a valid answer. Speaking of crossbow, I actually very much like the crossbow from Code Veronica, especially with the explosive rounds. That's a solid weapon, one that just feels good.
All right, so first Licker here. Luckily, he's locked into an animation where he's like attacking a zombie, so we're just gonna go into the STARS office, ignore him. Another word of advice when you're playing RE2 Remake is never ever fight Lickers ever. You can always dodge them. Because they are blind, but they can hear and smell you, so as long as you're walking... I'm going to grab this, just in case I get screwed. But yeah, just be patient. Usually Lickers, there's only one problem area with dodging Lickers like this, but as long as you're patient, do not press the sprint button, ever. Because Lickers are extremely fast, and they almost like cheat and they like teleport to you. So if they're like across the room, they can like attack you in 1 second. Alright, so this is fish, scorpion, flask, whatever that is. I think that's like based off of like the Pisces like sign things, but alright, I didn't need that. Alright, we're gonna be decapping the zombies in here because we're gonna be coming back here.
And you don't want to get caught by certain enemies.
Yeah. This is a very problematic room in the RPG Revisit, so we want to make it as safe as possible when we're back here. Because there is a 100% chance we are going to be chased by Mr. X when we're back here. Alright, another word of advice is always carry 1 or 2 knives all the time. Knives get a zombie off your back, and especially with Leon, they are in prime position to headshot them. Did I get this? Yeah.
What if Resident Evil... how unplayable would the series be if it kind of took, like, the standard zombie motif of if your character gets bit one time, it's over? Like, say Last of Us. Like, you can't get bit, you know. You can, like, get hurt, but you can't get bit.
I kind of wish there was, like, a, like, ultimate difficulty like that, where it's, like, one-hit deaths.
What if it was like Last of Us, where it's like, you can get punched or something, but you can't get bit?
Yeah, that would work, too. Like, getting punched by Tyrant, I guess you'd survive. Bow and arrow. This one's, like, you can not even see what that one is. Alright, so a Licker is going to spawn. If we hug the right wall, it is not going to be able to attack us. And we're just going to sprint out of here. We're good.
Dude, I'm so jelly of this library.
Yeah, this library is awesome.
Every single book is the exact same. The History of Raccoon City, volume 455. Ah, yes.
Cool, so we're actually done with first visit of RPD. That went decent.
We did it, lads.
Still alive.
Somehow.
That's not a good thing, Leon.
I'm still alive.
Whoops. I don't need a stupid map.
Leon's like, yeah,
So it goes underground.
this is pretty normal.
Yeah, I'd be like, Marvin, what's up with this stupid police station?
Marvin! It's time to go. Marvin. I need to get you to a hospital right now.
No, save yourself.
Come on, I thought you...
No!
Look, we can still make it out of here together. You just get...
I said go.
It's too late.
Don't they show him getting bit in Resident Evil 3, the remake?
Yes. Yeah, Brad's actually the one who bites Marvin.
Can't let this thing spread. It's on you.
That was probably my most disappointing thing about 3 Remake. Brad is like in it for 45 seconds?
Yeah, and he's like pathetic.
I understand.
I mean,
he's like he's distraught and terrified in
yeah.
the beginning, but like he's just like useless. He doesn't even die to Nemesis. He just dies to a zombie.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you change that? Brad's death in RE3 Classic is
So
amazing.
good.
Why would you just change it to him getting bit once?
I just wanted like a 5-minute section where like you follow him or whatever and just explore the city a little, you know? That's all I wanted. But no. You're with him for like one room. Thanks.
Why do I only have 8 shotgun shells? Okay, so I already messed up somewhere, but I guess that's fine. So we want pretty much everything. I'm gonna bring a first aid spray just in case. But yeah, we should be good. So we're actually not really going to be using the shotgun at all, but there's no real reason to put it back in the item box. There's a grenade down on the bottom floor there, but we're going to be getting it later. No reason to get it now.
Oh, yeah.
I just gotta pay extra attention while I'm playing this game and talking.
Who dis guy?
Yeah, that's a big eye. Okay, so we're gonna be using half knife strats for this fight. The beginning of the fight, you just walk up to him and knife him a bunch, and he's gonna stun, and then you just keep knifing him. But it might not seem like much, but after we use the knife, we're gonna keep slashing until he grabs us once, and then we're just gonna use the knife as a defense item, so it doesn't take any damage. And now,
Oh, gosh.
here what we're doing is we're equipping the flash grenade. I like to shoot him like 3 times because you have enough time. Throw the flash grenade, switch back to the knife we still have. This is probably going to break because I use it as a defense item, but it still does a lot of damage. Okay, actually it didn't break. Alright, so at this point, he's probably about half dead. But like I said, on hardcore standard handgun, you are not doing much damage. But you should not use the shotgun, because the shotgun really does not do that much damage either. So this fight is just kind of boring. You can kind of manipulate him because he reads your input. So if you like hold aim while he's chasing you, like just for a split second, he will do a premature attack.
So you just finish him off with the handgun then?
Yeah, I don't have enough knife. I want to use a knife just in case I get grabbed again by accident.
That makes sense.
But yeah, as you can see, he blatantly reads your inputs. Nice, he's dead.
William!
But if we didn't do knife strats, that generally takes like 70 handgun bullets. And if you ever watch a speedrun of this, which is always done on PC, literally all they do is they do the knife thing, they throw a flash grenade, they knife him again, he's dead. That's how much of a difference there is just from frame rate.
Man, somebody's watching.
Alright, so there's some items over here. There's handgun bullets. I really don't need them, but I'm just going to grab them anyway. We're pretty much retiring the handgun, like, entirely at this point. But the most important things, there's a couple healing items, but I haven't gotten actually bit yet. But it's nice to have just in the inventory. But the most important thing is that there's a hand grenade. So hand grenades and flash grenades in RE2 Remake are amazing. Flash grenades just used naturally stun zombies and Mr. X and pretty much everything other than lickers for like 10 full seconds. And it is like a very large radius, and grenades do a ridiculous amount of damage. But especially for Leon, we are going to be saving as many flash grenades and especially regular grenades for the final boss, because you just need it for Super Tyrant. Unfortunately, Leon's final boss, Super Tyrant, is probably one of the worst fights in the entire series, in my opinion. It is just a horrible fight. But using grenades and flash grenades makes it bearable.
Like it's hard or it's boring?
It's the worst of everything I hate about boss design. It's scripted, you can't win, you have to wait out a timer, you have to wait for someone else to help you. It is like everything bad about fights I hate.